Good morning, New Eden! Today is September 19th, 2021, and welcome to the Federation Frontline Report, a new podcast about EVE Online with a focus on faction warfare news. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and my co-host is Samson.
Good morning, New Eden. How's everybody doing out there?
Today we have Kurgen as our special guest. He's a diplomat for Aideron Robotics. How's
Hey, how we doing?
New Eden treating you these days, Kurgen?
So far, a little bit good, a little bit of bad, I'm sure we'll get into more of that as we go along, but, having a good time as always.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show here. Let's go ahead and just start it off with, how did you get involved in faction warfare? What were you kind of doing before faction warfare? What got you kind of into it now?
Let's see. Well, I guess that was it's about like 4 years ago. I know when I first got into the game, the big battles were what really kind of drew me in. I was in Horde, I was in World War B within like a week of my of joining the game. But there was a time period I was like, all right, well, I kind of want to see some other parts of the game. Lowsec was kind of boring me. So I just kind of went out to Lowsec, kind of ventured around and found myself in Gallente faction warfare. And eventually I just kind of latched on to Aideron Robotics and went from there.
Awesome. So you, how long have you been in Aideron?
For the most of the last 5 years. I left for a little bit, but then I came back.
Okay, so yeah, you've been around the block for a while here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So World War B, that would have been the one that they got kicked out of Delve, is what you were talking about. Is that correct? Or not Delve, Declan.
Declan, yes. It was, I believe some people call it the Casino Wars, or
Casino
Wars led into that. Yeah, that one. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was pretty amazing to join the game and go right into that. It's just unbelievable, the scale.
Yeah, the scale on that was pretty epic. But what was some of the things you didn't like about that kind of brought you to the faction warfare, Lowsec, small gang kind of PvP?
Well, I know when I would get on comms, there would be so many people. I didn't feel like I could really. Maybe that's partially my fault. I was brand new to the game. I not really sure who I would be able to like fit in with, mesh with, but I didn't feel like I really connected with anybody, and I was kind of bored floating around a beacon, ratting or going mining there. So that's what kind of pushed me to go out and, I guess, go die somewhere else. Figure it out. And so again, I ended up getting into faction warfare. The scale of people was a lot less, and I can actually like make some connections with people, at least people that were more like me or wanted to do what I wanted to do, get smaller groups, tighter, have a better time. That's how I felt. I thought it was a better time than Lowsec.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's some stuff that you can do small gang in nullsec, but a lot of them you got to get into that group, and you gotta know, you got to get your way through and kind of proven yourself to a certain degree, or get lucky, or really nosy to like figure out all the different things you can do in those big groups. But faction warfare, I really like that you can just jump into it.
Well, I mean,
right away too.
Absolutely. I think faction warfare has like baked in allies already. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, even if you join in as like the NPC corp, right? So like Gallente's the FDU. You can jump in and kind of test the flavor of all the different corps that are in faction warfare and see which one's for you, which group of guys do you mesh with the most, and then join, right? So it gives you kind of a chance to test the waters.
Is that how you found Aideron? Was that through you joined up with FDU first, or?
I actually joined up with FDU with an alt character before I moved my main into Aideron. So I had an alt character that I was flying around with when I wasn't ratting in Horde space, and I just kind of jumped into the FDU thing, tried it out. Remember the first siege I was in Vlil like years ago, and it's just kind of been history ever since then. It's just been with these guys.
Awesome, yeah.
So,
Samson, you got some questions or?
Yeah. So like, what I mean, for me, when it came to like the really large scale fleets, I felt the same. Like it was too big. So coming out to faction warfare was a good place to start. But now, I mean, we're in something big, the Gals Mills. So what's it like being a diplomat in such a big war, and on the winning side, no less?
On the winning side, of course. You know, of course, we're winning. We're always winning.
Winning.
Well, you know, at first, when I first took the job, I wasn't. It was kind of brand new for me, right? So the whole political landscape, you know, trying to make allies, you know, reaching out to people I normally wouldn't have even thought to reach out to.
How long were you with Aideron before you became a diplomat?
I only became the Diplo probably about 2 to 3 months ago.
Okay.
So I don't really think we had one before that, and if we did, it was a while ago. But I mean, trying to be the Diplo and navigate through the different politics and stuff like that, it's definitely eye-opening. It's new for me. I wouldn't say it's difficult, but you know, there's different cultures that you have to navigate as well. You know, like I don't really know much about, like, you know, let's say if I reach out to some of the Russian neighbors that we have, you know, you got to be able to, you know, cross that line and, you know, hopefully not offend somebody, right? So, you know, it takes work, but you know, it's fun. It's fun. It's interesting. You meet people that you probably didn't expect to meet.
That's like the opposite of what I want to do in EVE, because I'm just defending people constantly with my guns. But yeah, the Diplo's like the opposite of what I like to do in EVE. But and it seems like it's been an interesting experience for you so far.
Oh yeah, no, it's like I said, it's new for me, so it gives me an opportunity to, I guess, talk to people that I probably wouldn't have spoken to in the game at all, you know, like.
Did you work out any of the stuff with Niswa Cartel? Because I know that was something that the Aideron has been working with quite a bit. I was recently just part of the Niswa Cartel prior to coming back over to faction warfare. We made some really good friends with them. And also, just real quick, Joe Bain just wants to make sure we all know that he believes that Kurgen is sexy AF and 100% smashable.
I agree, but
that.
Remember, it's the God Emperor King Joe Bain himself.
God Emperor.
You gotta remember, or His Highness works too.
Thank you, God Emperor. I appreciate the praise. I did speak with Niswa Cartel, and we had set up, like, you know, a temporary alliance, trying to hold Niswa specifically from falling into the Caldari hands, but it's the onslaught, the evil squids. The onslaught has been pretty intense from that side. So unfortunately, we were not able to hold that line for them, because I believe we were also in Intaki at the same time. We were just kind of spread out too thin, man. And you know, before Average Pilots joined and Golden Age GH joined the faction warfare, it was like Aideron and FDU up against everybody. At least that's what it seemed like, you know, with, like, you know, smaller corps sprinkled in here and there. But you know, it was definitely some much needed relief when GH joined faction warfare to help.
Yeah, that was I was really excited when Joe joined up and just like immediately was just pulling in a bunch of brand new people, just like getting all of his boys all going. You know, Golden Age has taken a little bit of a stumble because of fucking Notorious. We've got to get that baby back one of these days. We're working on it slowly, but in general, we're definitely, you know, glad to be into the war, adding in our firepower to your firepower, and, you know, being able to pull some stuff off. Now, recently, there has been, I saw a setback. I just got back from Gen Con, so I have been kind of out of the loop a little bit, which is why the show is a little bit late today. Normally, it would be at 6 o'clock Central Time. Currently, we're doing it at 8 o'clock. But tell me a little bit, what happened with Vietnam?
Vietnam. Well, you know,
Vietnam.
You know, before I really go any further with Vietnam, I just want to say, like, that was some of the most intense fighting we've had in a very long time. Thanks to all the allies that actually came to help us. You know, you got the Min Mill, Harkon, GH, got a No Forks Given came to help us out too. So, but I guess what happened there was we were fighting for a very long time to keep that system for months. The siege really started long before the final push happened.
Mhm.
And hey man, just like the story is in Eve, whoever has the more power, more firepower, wins, and it's pretty much what it came down to, man. And I
Was
gotta
there
throw
third parties that were involved at all?
Yes. There were times where Pandemic Horde did come in for them. We had some of our own pirate allies come in and try to push them back a little bit.
So were Pandemic Horde actually working directly with the Caldari, or was it a third party? They were fighting both of us, but it just was us getting shot more?
I'm pretty sure. I don't want to just make things up. I can't 100% say that's the truth, but I think there was evidence even recently that in Cavern they single-handedly prevented Galmil from bashing the iHub.
You heard it here first. Straight from the facts.
They were there. They stopped them. So, if that's not evidence enough, then hey, whatever.
No meaning is saying that it's pretty obvious by now that Horde was assisting Calmil. So there does seem to be a lot of evidence that is stacking up to an alliance of some sort between the two.
I smell spies.
I wonder, that would be something I would love to know the blue status regarding that. Is there an actual official bluing that's happening?
Well, I would have to think that probably the squids would have to speak to that. I mean, if maybe we can get Mr. Sheltark himself on the line and see what he has to say for himself. But
it of course would be each individual corporation might have its own standings.
Of course.
And of course, we have no spies whatsoever, so there's no way that we can ever figure that stuff out.
No. Intel is 100% safe.
Yes.
But I mean, from the little research that I've done, I know a lot of the Pandemic Horde guys have joined, the Okamon Pride and a couple of the other corps, So, it wouldn't shock me if, there were some strong ties linking them at this point. So.
Awesome. So another question that I have for you, what would you like to change in faction warfare at this point? Or what would you like to see more of? Or what would you add into the game or take away from the faction warfare system? Any kind of alterations that you would make?
Well, I think the focus should probably move towards more PvP oriented, and I think they did a good job recently by they're starting to funnel some people into faction warfare for on their new player experience, right? They're actually making it like, hey, go check out your local militia, see what you can do, right? Which I think is a great idea, but there's other opportunities that I think they can add, like let's say the recent pirate fobs that they started adding, like what was it in the last year? The Garistas and Blood Raiders, those are in high sec. Let's say they might add something like that to low sec, where they put like a forward operating base for these militias, and they're out there capturing plexes, the computers themselves, the NPCs, and you have to take those down in order to actually make any kind of advancement in the system.
So it sounds like you're looking for like some more a living faction warfare low sec area where it's, instead of it being so static of there's one little dude hanging out at a plex, he's going to be hanging out there. What if they were out plexing themselves? What if they had forward operating bases that you had to stop in order to stop that plexing?
Fleets
I've
warping
also
in on you.
Yeah, that the diamond rats, actually being part of faction warfare would be pretty epic, I think. And then I've also been a big proponent, which I think kind of adds into that, and I think I'll try and talk about this all the time until CCP hears what the hell I'm talking about, because I really want the GMs involved.
CCP.
Like, I mean, this is the NPC faction. This is the NPC war that's happening that we volunteered to join. There should be one person at least, if not 4 people, that are kind of like doing stuff in faction warfare on a weekly or monthly or something basis. But CCP already has the living NPC ecosystem figured out with Perchkiven. It would be cool as fuck if they could move that into faction warfare coming from no meaning, and I 100% agree with that. I feel like if we could get a little bit of that, living NPC ecosystem going in faction warfare that players can fuck with, that would be epic.
I I 100% agree. I think Lowsec for a long time, up until recently, obviously, I mean, it's exploded recently, at least in our little pocket of space, right? It's I don't know, I can't really speak for everywhere else, but just give people a reason to come back to Lowsec, man. Give people a reason to come here and participate in whatever's going on. So, I mean, other than that, a lot of the times I'm flying through Blackrise and, dude, I don't see anybody. Where the hell is everybody?
Yeah,
I'm alive, man.
They're in Tama.
They're in Tama.
That's a different animal, bro.
It's faction warfare space, but it's really,
not.
So Zig, this is a faction warfare kind of focused podcast that we're kind of doing. We're kind of open to talking about even general, of course, like there's always stuff, and we might have news about 0.0 stuff that is really big that's going on. I don't think there's anything big going on right now besides the war being over, and everybody knows about that. So but in general, we'd like to focus on faction warfare kind of stuff, and you're right, the factions were still fighting each other when the Trigs were invading. So it was a free-for-all in New Eden for sure, and I'd like to see more of that kind of stuff. I would also like to see, that does kind of throw in, it would be kind of cool what if the Trigs got involved in faction warfare as a quote-unquote third party on everyone,
Boy.
I mean, they kind of do take over systems, so they're kind of far, but they're not involved in the faction warfare part of it. Like, if they could do something
plexes,
to
get inside,
they
plexes.
should camp the plexes, or come inside plexes. That would be scary, and you'd have to change your D scans in areas like that, so that you knew what was going on.
I think that would be interesting in like with the minor victory systems, right? Like maybe make them a little more instead of just, hey, you got to get off the gate as fast as possible. Make them more a part of that system, like make them attack you if you're in the plexus too. That'd be cool.
I'd like that. And I like if they got their own restriction, like if they followed the restrictions, only their destroyers and frigates, came into like the smaller ones and stuff like that.
Right.
And then No Meaning points out a really good thing here, which is Fliet for the longest time seems to be at the top of the most dangerous systems, over Tama quite a bit. And there were nights that kills topped the 1DQ during the Delve War, and that's pretty huge.
That was wild. What a wild group. What a wild like couple of weeks, man. Oof. Hell yeah. I mean,
how many capsuleers did you have like in on grid at once? Like, what's the most that you had on grid in once in Fliet and AM?
On grid at any single time. I mean, you got to keep in mind that like there were little battles going on at each plex. You had some guys, all right, we're gonna go take the medium with 10 guys. We're gonna go take the small with like 15.
Well, add all those grids together then.
In system, I'm pretty sure at one time we probably peaked at about like maybe 120, 130.
Damn.
And that's huge for Lowsec. Like,
yeah,
that is like I've seen Tama. I don't think I've seen Tama break triple digits in a while.
Yeah, I mean, Fliet was like that.
Comparison.
Fliet was at triple digits pretty frequently, at least in the times that I was on.
So what you're saying is you brought the party.
We brought the party. We always bring the party. There at
somebody,
Fliet, man.
Somebody joined us here. Who's
Hello.
Oh, Mac, Red, we're in a thing right now. You can join us later. I'll talk to you later.
There we go.
I don't have access.
But I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I was just saying that Fliet itself was the intensity of that fighting, the amount of time that our guys stayed up, FCing was. The first week we were really lucky that it landed on an American holiday of Labor Day, that we were able to stay up for that long. And, I was up for probably 36 hours straight, like flying with the boys, trying to defend that system. And
woo-wee.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
Dang.
It was a lot of fun with the guys.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
So Zig asks a pretty good question that I think newbies always want to know. Any tips for heading into Lowsec? And Kurgen, I'll let you kind of start off with any tips that you have, and then we'll kind of do a round table on this. I think we can throw out some suggestions here.
Well, tips for heading into Lowsec. I mean, you got to know how to use your D-scan, man. You got to know when people, depending on what you're doing, you got to know where people are. Got to be aware of who's around you and at what distance, you know. As far as traveling from gate to gate, you know, just it's really takes a lot about familiarity, you know which gates are usually camped. You're gonna die. It's just part of the learning process, though, you know. So it's just becoming familiar with the lay of the land, just like anywhere, just like in real life, man. You'll get it, but D-scan is probably the most important tool, I would say.
Yeah, and I would add on to that, and definitely emphasize that D-scan is huge if you're wanting to PvP. Even if you're PvEing, you know, keeping an eye on what's going on.
Yeah, even if it's just making sure no one's coming at you.
But if you're just going gate to gate, which I don't know what you're trying to look for exactly in Lowsec, if you're just doing gate to gate, then it's not as important. But still, you could still use it a lot for checking to see what the hell's on that gate sometimes. But the main thing I would kind of throw out there is get in a frigate, T1 frigate, either pirate or faction, or even just a regular T1 frigate, depending on how much money you want to kind of throw around. You can throw together like a 5 to 10 million-isk frigate. Build 50 of them. Prepare for them all to just be destroyed in the next week, and just take them out. Go to a novice plex in faction warfare space. So only faction warfare space really has this special mechanic where you light a beacon in space that basically says, "Hello, I'm here and I'm hanging out looking for a fight." Faction warfare use it for making some money, and joining up with faction warfare can help you make some money while you're doing this, but you don't need to be part of faction warfare. You can be totally just pirating it. Hang out inside of a novice plex at 0 with something that catches people at 0. You got a web, you got a scram, you're gonna punch them in the face, and you can do some kiting if you got the really good skills on how to 8K kite with a scram type thing, but I just go for punch them in the frickin' face as hard as you possibly can and murder them.
Absolutely.
And then you start learning things. You learn what other people are doing, what other ships are capable of, and then you start seeing, why is this guy beating me all the time? And sometimes you can check into their kills, their deaths. What have they been doing and stuff? You can start seeing different fits and different things. But I'm a huge proponent of like the Aideron, get an ancillary repper on there, some neutron blasters, scram web, and a afterburner. Make sure you overheat your fucking afterburner. Speed is key in this game, and being able to be the fastest person on grid is extremely important in 1v1, because they'll just leave if you're a winner, and then you've lost, or you've drawn at the very least. And if they're, if you can't dictate range, then you can't keep in their face. They'll eventually get out of the blaster range, and so you always, the web and scram helps a lot, because they have to have a web and an afterburner in order to go anywhere. But if they have those two things, that's when you start running into problems. But other than that, you just go out and die a lot. Rifter can be very similar with the autocannon and the ancillary repper. Get on comms, coming from Time Gunner. That's a huge one. If you're looking for more people.
If you find people, hop on comms. And just finding people helps, right? Like, especially if you're doing faction warfare, you like Kurgen said earlier, that you can have built-in allies, and when you're playing in faction warfare, you might strike up a conversation with somebody, and maybe you'd be friends. But what I want to add on to that is, again, D-scan is love, D-scan is life. Because D-scan, we talked about it a little defensively, but like offensively, holy crap. It is beautiful. If you can D-scan somebody down, and find them without using probes, no one will ever know you're coming, and unless they're inside a plex and they are also descanning when you get there, or sitting on a plex and waiting for people to come. But dying a lot. Just get the cheap ships like Frozen said and die. You're going to die, but you're going to learn each time you die. And there's this beautiful thing called the Z-Kill board, zkillboard.com. If you don't know what it is already, I don't know why you're playing Eve, but everything is there. Everything is there, and I became obsessed with it. Don't do what I did. But like, if someone pops into your system and you think they're looking for a fight, if you put their name in there, you can see what happened to them recently and gauge how dangerous the fight's going to be just from their Z-Kill board. And maybe you don't want to fight them. Maybe they're a kiter. They're a known kiter just by looking at a few of their Z-Kills. Intel is huge. And DScan provides intel. And speaking to going gate to gate, well, I mean, let's face it, most of us have alts, I always have eyes on the other side of a gate where a system that I am doing something in, where I'm committing crimes. I always have eyes somewhere outside on the other side of the gate. And eyes can be anything, even if it's just someone sitting in a station, you can see who's in that system. But gate camping, for example,
which I love. Me and Samson are big on the gate camping.
Yeah, you just you have somebody cloaked on the other side of the gate. You always know what's coming. Always know what's coming, unless I am too drunk and I miss it, because that happens a lot too. Or Frozen shoots me, because that happens a lot. He shoots me on gate a lot.
Yeah, a lot. A lot. Because I'm boosting him, so I'm like,
Yeah,
here's all the
funny.
scan reds and also my bullets, just in case you get blown
Yeah,
up,
so
that our kill
why am I
board doesn't
taking
get hurt.
gate guns? He was a pirate. Oh, those aren't gate guns. Frozen.
You got in the way, man. Hey.
And one thing I just also want to throw out there is getting small shit in is pretty easy. Tactical destroyers down to frigates. Destroyers can get caught by some stuff, but like frigates are usually pretty hard to catch. But if you really want to get something through a gate camp, like if you're coming from Tama or from Nurvakaiken to Tama, and you're like 90% sure or you're 100% sure there's a fucking gate camp there, because you should always be, if you're not sure 100%, then you should be 90% sure there's a gate camp there. Even though it's been pretty chill most of the time in the last like few months that I've been hanging out there, it's been pretty good. But in any case, you want to get something into Lowsec. You got a big ass fucking hauling ship. You've got a big ass Gnosis, or you want to move something in. One, don't take Tama. Go back routes. Do other directions and stay away from Sujarento and stay away from Tama. But if you want to do it, you can still go through Tama and other ways of protecting yourself. It's called a micro warp drive and a cloaking device. Anything that can run a micro warp drive and has a cloaking device, the regular prototype cloaking device, you can go through any gate camp. I have pissed off so many gate campers that have just been like, you're fucking cheating, you're a horrible person, I'm going to report you. I'm like, go ahead,
let me kill you.
I give them a nice wave in local and I say, go ahead, report me, because it's not an exploit. What it is you align. As soon as you align, you hit the cloaking device, which sounds weird, right? Because you're like, well, then you can't do anything, right? That's not true. You have 1 second. You have a tick to basically do more stuff. You can do it in the opposite, but there's a slight chance that if you hit the micro warp drive, your sig boom comes up and they might be able to catch you. We've seen that happen. Samson, I think, has done that to some cloaky Tengus in the past, and cloaky other things.
I've caught a few cloaky things, yes.
But if you're into like a DST, stuff like that, you do the MWD, and pretty much anything can do this. You hit the cloaking device after you're aligned. So you hit align, you hit the cloaking device, and then you hit the micro warp drive. The micro warp drive is cycling. Turn it off. Hit the red button on that thing so that it'll stop when you're it doesn't matter. It's going to stop anyways.
Yeah,
but
stop
I always just
automatically.
hit it anyways so that I know it. And then I'm aligning. That I'm watching that counter. As soon as that micro warp drive is about to churn off, because it's technically still on right now. It's boosting your speed. As soon as you hit that, you hit warp, or you hit decloak and you hit warp. Boom. You will be insta warp. The only way for somebody to really catch you with doing that is they have to have somebody that runs in and bumps you. And that's a easy way to get around. I mean, throw on a fucking whatever those things that stop you from getting Scramdar, and you're probably pretty good. You know, you can get shit into Lowsec. So if you add all those things together, that's a way of getting a lot of shit into Lowsec.
Unless Frozen Fallout happens to be shooting at Gwenevit Canyon on a gate, then you're probably fucked.
Then you might be fucked.
Yeah, you might be gonna die.
Oh man.
Thank you, Zig, for the follow. Samson, I believe you have another question.
Yeah. So I'm drinking whiskey right now. What I normally drink when I'm doing anything on screen or playing any video games. What's your preferred beverage when you're flying around in space, being a diplomat and killing people?
That's a great question. I usually go back and forth between coffee and green tea. That's usually what I'm drinking. You know, I tend to stay away from the
caffeination.
Yeah, that keeps me alert. Usually if I drink something, I kind of just fall asleep. so like I usually have some coffee, maybe some green tea, and something hot, a nice warm beverage. Makes, you know, home is where the heart is, and that's where it is for me, right there.
Wait, are you in a cold region?
No, I'm in it's kind of half and half. I live on Long Island in New York, so.
Oh, okay. It can be both.
Yeah, it's humid as hell in the summer, and it's cold. It's colder than, I guess, hell in the winter, man. It's brutal. But but I can always knock back a warm drink. I love it.
Zig asks what corps we're all in. We have Kurgen, the diplomat for Aideron Robotics. We have Frozen Fallout, the CEO of Golden Age Stories, and myself. I'm just passerby. I don't actually play the game.
He's currently winning.
I'm winning. I am winning, Eve.
Well, no, technically he is taking a little bit of a break, but we're pulling him back in because
trying to pull him back in. No, Golden Age Stories. I am Gwenevit Canyon, and she is not a spy.
She is a badass solo pilot. Go look at her fucking solo shit, man. Fucking, oh man, the.
No, don't look there right now. It looks like I rage quit the game, which I kind of did. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No,
question for Kurgen: how or what do you keep your pilot, or how or what do you do to keep your pilot's morale up?
What do we do? Well, you know, you have a big loss like Fliet, right? You know, a lot of people, you know, you can get a little salty. It's been home for a long time, you know, but for the most part, we try to keep everyone's spirits up. We have a lot of laughs on comms, man. I don't know. I'm sure some of you guys have been on it. If not, you know, you should definitely jump in at any time. But we
pretty humorous.
We have a lot of great guys in there, and we keep it pretty loose.
And exotic dancers.
Always. You can never have enough exotic dancers. You know what I'm saying? But I think for the most part, leadership has really kept things on an even keel. You know, we're trying to keep it real with our guys. They know the situation. I mean, as long as we stick together, I think we know that we're gonna be all right. Morale's up, man. We're all having a good time. That's all that matters, man.
Fight is forever going to be going on. The losses and wins will be ahead of us no matter what. So you know, just keep on moving forward. And we'll get Fliet back. I mean, unless they want to stay there while the rest of the entire galaxy burns around them, then you know, I don't foresee that happening. So
no. I mean, look, there's ebbs and flows in the war zone, you know. So it's been happening since the start of this. You know, it goes all the way Gallente, then it comes all the way back to Caldari, goes all the way Gallente. You know, it's back and forth. It's the forever tug of war. You know, no one ever really wins, even if you take it all over. You know,
I can't believe the old guard of the Gallente are gone though. I joined faction warfare right when it started. Like that was the first thing I did. I made X Meta.
X Meta.
Yeah, so I was the founder and CEO of X Meta for a long time. And then, you know, during that time, it was insane. I mean, like 30, 40-man fleets all the time, battleship fleets going out, just smashing into each other. And you had the NPCs, there was like 1 million NPCs inside of a large, or the open complex. Like so
Really?
much so that I have to check with one of my buddies. I'm pretty sure he has some videos of this where I have like 40 million missiles chasing me while I'm in an interceptor running around in the Plex while everybody else is just sitting in the center of the Plex waiting for the timer and then killing some stuff. But it was just, there was so much shit and you could just
Sounds like
grab
swarm
all aggro.
kiting.
Yeah.
I do remember like hearing about how there was a ton of NPCs in every Plex. You know, when I first started Faction Warfare, it was just the one NPC.
Mhm.
So things have changed. Things have changed a lot.
It's for
obviously.
the better. I think it's interesting that I feel like the general spotlight and the general like excitement is kind of gone from faction warfare compared to, of course, when it first came out. Because I mean, when it first came out, everybody was like, "What the hell is this? A perma war that we can just fight over Lowsec systems?" And we had passes, but nobody really used them. Well, I take that back. There was a lot of exploit shit that happened with passes. And if people are bitching about the station, the upwell structures today, I feel like they forgot a lot of the shit that happened with passes back in the day anyways. It's a little different for sure, but in general, there was a lot of fuckery that was happening. But back in the day though, there was a form for everybody. Like I've got all these, I'm going to be going through these in future Federation frontline reports of different form posts of different invasions that we did and stuff. And it was like, because it was anybody and everybody just joined. Whoever was part of the Gallente militia, you got access to the forums and everybody was coordinating through that. Now that we have alliances, it feels like people, and then it feels like now there's hardly anybody in faction warfare, just a lot of people looking for money. And there, I mean, don't get me wrong, like you said, there's like 100 people that were fighting in Fliet. But that's I mean, when you look at our old numbers, 100 people fighting in Fliet, that was like a lot of shit that was happening in Nissawa and Nenemelia and what's the other system nearby there? Vivalier. Like that was happening all the time. Like Hades was a hotbed.
So what I remember is that there were sieges going on all over the place, and there was different corporations. Okay, like one corporation had that sector, and they were going up against another corporation, right? And then you come down to like, the Citadel area. Another corporation or a group was fighting against another Caldari group, and like sieges were just going on all over the war zone.
You're right, yeah. Like I was part of the Valor Accords when I brought X Meta into the Valor Accords before we had our own wars that we had to deal with, so we didn't want to drag the alliance in, so we kind of went off and did our own thing with some high sec wars that we were punching people in the nose because they fucked with our space. But that's a huge other story for a long time ago, and it'll be happening in the future. But I joined up with Valor Accords, and they were protecting Nenemelia, and that was like our whole thing was like Nenemelia and Vivalier, and there was another group that was hanging out in Hades, and then it was Nissawa. And I was so surprised when we lost Nissawa recently, because I was like, that's always been like a super stronghold of the Gallente. And when I came back, I kind of understood now why that is, and we just don't have the old guard like we used to. Everybody's moved on to go do other stuff. I know X Meta completely. Oh man, they were messing around in faction warfare space recently, and I was just like, I'm your fucking founder. Get out here and fight for us. What are you doing? Ah. You know, I mean, I'm just fucking around, of course. Like those guys are doing their own thing, and I'm proud of that corp for what it became after I ceded control. And I went on to go do 0.0 stuff, which is probably the biggest mistake but not really, because I made some really good friends. I basically ran into a group of people that were 0.0 guys. If you know me, you probably know who they are and stuff. We'll talk about that more later, but they had parties going on all the time here in Madison. So I was just like, okay, these guys I'm going to go party with.
Awesome.
But yeah, so the Warzone has changed up a lot. But I'm looking forward to, I really like Sheltark, I really like Diana Kim, you know, they're just the amount of, you know, especially Sheltark with like the crazy cool streams that he does. I like that he's pumping up the Caldari. I am so excited to have Joe over on our side pumping up, and I'm hoping that, you know, also Golden Age Stories can do more streaming, more podcast stuff. Really get the Gallente pumped up, and we can have ourselves a forever war that we can just have a lot of fun over.
Of course.
So I kind of want to open this up for you, Kurgen. Before we get to the news, I just want to present an opportunity for you to kind of talk about whatever you're doing. If you have any side projects that are going on, any news that you want to talk about, anything about Aideron that you want to talk about, kind of an open platform for you to kind of talk about what you're doing in EVE Online or in the real world. You know, are you running games or whatever you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, as far as Aideron's concerned, you know, we're still trying to fight the good fight, man. You know, I mean, even though we lost Fliet, doesn't mean, you know, we're backing out and laying down. You know, we still got our guys out there in Austengale, trying to keep the systems that we currently have, and, you know, try to push up other systems around it. I mean, in terms of what Aideron's doing, how basically how you can make a difference if whoever's watching out there, you know, we're recruiting right now. If you feel like you want to make a difference, come have some fun with the guys. A great group of guys, by the way. Aideron, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now. Even though we just lost home, still, this is where I want to be, you know. Yeah, come on down, you know, apply. We got a website. I can link it in chat a little bit later, and feel free to come and join Fleets, even if you're not ready to join Faction Warfare, just to see what it's all about.
And we'll make sure we get your your website and information about Aideron into the show notes, so everybody can check those out as well.
Sure.
Awesome. So just before we move on to news, we're going to start talking about a little bit about the Warzone, and then Samson's going to go over the kill board for us. But before I jump into that, there's one thing that I just want to touch base on real quick, and it's that we have a lot of fun here. You know, this is going to be a propaganda show. We're all about having fun. You know, we'll say squid. We'll have some banter back and forth. But I want everybody to know that this is all in game. This is all just having fun. And I see my enemies as frenemies. You know, they're people that I respect.
I don't know about all that.
But I don't want to. I don't believe in things getting out of game. There have been things where people have thrown around stuff and been out of game nasty to people, and we do not support that whatsoever. We had to remove somebody from our corporation due to these kind of things, and we don't want to have to do that. You know, it's just about being fun in game. It's not about taking it out of game and starting to harass people.
You send all your extra salt to Gwenevit Kenyon. All right.
Yeah,
she can handle it. She's down for all. I want to see all the hate mail. Yeah.
There are some of us who can feed off of that.
I feed off of it. I don't give it out like outside a game like that.
I don't want to give it to people, but I'm fine with people messaging me and calling me a piece of shit, because you know what? That's your opinion. That's fine.
I usually tell them I love them.
Yeah, it's like
when I get hate messages, I'll just be like, I love you, thank you. Watch me here.
Thank you.
You can see where I killed you.
So much, Joe, for the cheer. And yeah, it's
God, Emperor
it's
Joe.
About having fun. We don't want this to be something that you know, I do not encourage anybody at all to take this out of game or to harass anybody over a stupid fucking video
Yeah,
game,
no,
guys.
absolutely
It's
not.
all about fun.
People that do that kind of stuff are just terrible people. Like,
I mean, it's been happening.
and you know what's
since the beginning of
interesting? Speaking to that, when I was streaming and when I will be streaming, I've had people in game be really nasty, and then I tell them, "Oh, I'm streaming it," and they come out, they try to be nasty, but then they just kind of turn around a bit, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I got a little salty," and then they're just like watching. You know what I mean? Like, they realize that I'm just because I killed them doesn't mean like I hate them in real life. I mean, no, it's a video game.
So Joe does have a question real quick here. So he was wondering what Aideron thoughts are about pirates like Joe Bain coming in and joining the Gal Mills.
My
Or
thoughts. Well, I mean, if you consider yourself a pirate, sure, man. But I mean, at this point, you know, I'd say that, you know, we're allies now. You know, before, I mean, I've gotten killed by you before, man. You know, it is what it is. It's a part of the game. It's a part of living in Lowsec. You know, it's a pirate. Every system has their own pirates that we got to deal with. You know, Fliet certainly has their own group. I would say shout out to the chickens, man. Those guys made our lives a living hell. Those guys just come in and, you know, ruin our day every time. But you know,
Which is a whole hell of a lot of fun, by the way. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. No, piracy's great.
It is.
I don't really have. I don't think I really have like a thought on it. Just glad you're on our side, bro. That's all.
Yeah, so yeah, and I, as No Meaning was saying, he's part of Aideron. He sees himself as a privateer, and that's kind of what I see myself as at this point. Is that, yeah, when I'm not part of the Federation, I'm a pirate. I'm just shooting anybody. But now I'm a privateer. I have meaning behind my piracy. Like, it's not just to get gold and to murder people now.
Yeah.
But I will just murder people randomly all the time. Besides my blues, you know, if you're blue to me, then you're all good. And I just love killing shit, and I like working with people, and that's the reason why I've always liked faction warfare, is that it's an easy way to start building up your corporation, getting to know some base politics and diplomacy in EVE Online, work with and fight enemies that are going to be, you know, human interactive people that have ideas and thoughts that are not just a regular video game. It kicks it up to another level, but it's not 0.0 craziness. And I do like the idea that we get booted out of our stations and stuff in Lowsec. And that, as much as people are like, that doesn't hurt anybody, there's blah, 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 blah. It's a pain in the fucking ass, let me tell you that, okay? Even with
billions of ISK locked up now.
Right, yeah, it's one of those things that you can put it all into an NPC station, but an NPC station could get blown up, and then you have to pay something in order to get that ship. It's costly. It costs money to operate in 0.0 if you want to be in the faction warfare zone. Yeah, like Joe said, he's got over 200 billion ISK locked up. I mean, like, this is it's rough. Like, and there's a reason to fight now, and there's stuff to do. But there's a whole thing that, you know, you have with that, and there are places that are also outside of the faction warfare zone that if you really want to stash your shit, you don't have to deal with it 100%. But then you have other problems you have to deal with. There's always, it's Lowsec, man. It's fucking blast. So let's go ahead, and speaking of which, let's go and take a look at Dotland maps here and see what has changed. As you can see on the screen here, I also have up the changes, or the current warfare status. We do have the Kaldari, which are barely holding on to T3 right now, which is very intentional. It's the way that this game works. Normally, factions of the winning side are barely just getting over that hump of from tier 2 to tier 3, basically, in order to get the best payout without having to spend a bunch of LP in order to keep it at ridiculously high levels. They were at tier 4 for a while, though, weren't they?
Oh yeah, they were. They were at tier 4 for quite a bit.
So that is quite a big change, dropping down from tier 4 to tier 3 is a big difference in LP payouts. I believe, let's just double check, it's 150%, I believe, for, let's take a look here. So, yes, at tier 1, there's a 50% reduction. At tier 2, it just does 100% of what you're supposed to get. Then you get a 75% bonus at tier 3, which is great. 150% bonus at tier 4, and at tier 5 you get a 225% bonus to your LP payout. So it is quite a bit of a drop down to tier 3. And so we're hoping we can start moving that back even further. We'll see how that goes, because there has been some pretty big changes on the map here. So in the last 7 days, it looks like we have had some changes. So in Placid, Dast has gone from the Caldari and have moved over to the Gallente. So the Dastarians, so this system right here. How do you say that?
I would say it's Dastrins. That's how I say it.
Dastrins.
Dastrins. I can barely speak English, so that looks like that flipped over on the 13th. I speak gibberish as my native language. Moving on from there, I get to English, and then I'm horrible at all other language, even after 4 years of German. Das ist gut is about all I know. And so on the Gallente side, the other huge change here is that so that happened on the 13th, I'm sorry, was Dastrins. And then on the 17th, so 2 days ago, Fliet fell from the Gallente and has moved over to control by the Caldari now. And that was a huge stronghold of one of the last major strongholds of the Gallente, although we are building up some new strongholds in order to continue the fights. I know that GH is currently working in the Ingus area, and we're pretty open about what the hell we're doing, and we're trying to continue to put pressure onto the Gallente, or onto the Caldari, as much as we possibly can here. So that's the major news on what's kind of been changing up here in the war zone. So let's move on to kill mails. So Samson, if you want to give us a nice little show here.
Here we go. It's a beautiful thing. I think today I was going to go over Aideron's top kills.
There we go. The good guys.
The good guys of the Gallente Federation. And the first thing I saw here was this Legion right at the top at a $500 million. That was that's kind of pretty. I wanted to take a look at that. Let's take a look at that.
So let's also break down for our listeners some of the because they might not have a direct view on this. So let's kind of break down what we've got here. So we've got a heavy pulse laser fit, it looks like, with a micro warp drive, a point, and a cap booster. Looks like he's got some damage modifiers on there, along with a tank that's a passive tank, damage control unit, and a plate. Is that a 160 plate?
This is like a brawling Legion. It's not even cloaky or anything. It's got a scram on it.
Yeah,
and it's tank. Yeah.
I was the final blow, baby.
There he is.
You are.
There he is. Yeah, I remember that fight. They came in, I think it was an open plex. There was like 10 or 12 of us. Joe was there too, I believe.
Yeah, Joe is down here. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, so they came in with like a Macarial. They came in with a Legion. Came in with a few other things, man. Those cruiser crew guys, they bring it, man. They bring the
the Macarial. Yeah, actually, I saw the Macarial.
So there was 16 involved in that one.
Sorry.
That's just the last thing. Was 16 involved. Looks like it was mostly frigates that just beat the living hell out of a couple destroyers.
It had no chance, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, it got a couple of them. about.
I
yeah, there
died
was also
there.
a BNI.
Suicide tackle says no meaning. That's awesome, dude. The BNI.
Yeah, hero tackle. I'm a hero
Hero.
tackle. I love hero
Love
tackle.
that.
I remember that now. There was a BNI that came in as like we all tackled him first, and you know those guys are super hull tanked, so that was kind of like they held on to us. They took our attention while these guys
It's
warped in and
probably
tried to take us out.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Related. Let's check related, because I think... Yeah, there it is, right there. There's a Macarial. This is the...
Yep, there's the BNI.
Yeah, there's the BNI. Damn, you got that too. Those are
Lost a
tough.
lot.
Oh yeah, it's fully hull tank, like super bait, double webbed.
Yeah, it looks like they did no meanings also talking, but what we saw too looked like there was some possible battleships that were around in that fray as well that came in late. Looks like they did some damage as well.
They did.
Yeah.
I
Top
mean,
damage,
those
bruv.
guys are strong. Those guys are good. They're good at what they're good at their jobs, the cruiser's crew. But you know, I think we got the best of them on that one, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for us, unfortunately for them.
Right.
Yeah.
What's this Megatron?
Megathron here. This is a this is a squid going down. This also looks like a fucking bait ship. Look at this. 4
yeah.
reinforced bulkheads.
So yeah, we've got blasters on there with void ammo. We've got afterburner, micro jump drive, so it can jump 100 kilometers if you're not being scrammed. A scram and a web, so that's a total brawler fit to murder anything that gets close and then jump the fuck away from things that are long range. That's pretty good fit for baiting for sure. But it looks like you guys had a bunch of cruisers, and that's just not gonna. And you had two
Drex.
2 Drax on there. Oh man.
Couple Cinnabons. What else you got? Yeah.
Got a few
I don't
GH
think
on
this.
there.
GH where?
Yeah, there's a GH on there. Drones. Scroll down.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yep,
Z-Drone. Yeah,
Z-Drone.
Z-Drone. What's up, Z-Drone? Shout out.
What system was
Yeah,
this
he's
in?
That's in Fliet. That was
Fliet?
before the fall.
before the fall. Wow, this is a big one. It's in recent too, because it's crazy.
But I think that might have been the night of the fall. So I think this person in particular was actually whelping ships. He might have been AWACSing too, I think. And if you look at his recent kill mails, I believe he was also being killed by Calmel because he was just going in and for the memes, I guess. So
that's the best. That's some of the. I love those people. I do it all the time. I'm just like we whelped a bunch of fucking carriers just to be fucking fun. A dread, 2 carriers, and other shit on my birthday. I was just like, let's fucking do this, man.
Hey, it was for charity, man.
Charity.
We whelped for charity.
there's no better reason than charity, man.
I saw this Gila here, which looks a little bit like a kill whore.
That's Chad.
From Aideron right here. There's one.
Oh yeah, someone got on it. Oh no!
Shoot it! Get the fuck out of it! And it was shooting Hyperions apparently at it, according to that. I love.
Yeah, it looks like Elikon got on the kill mail, but that's one of our guys too. Chad's one of our guys.
Well, that's why it's like it's a little confusing because it's like it's in your top kills.
Yeah,
but it's one of your guys.
Yeah, that's funny.
Speaking of AWACSing,
hey, you just throw a missile out there, get your kill board green, right?
That's
seriously, like if one of my buddies was flying a Gila, like when we did the whelping of our ships, we all kind of shot each other first beforehand. So I was like, I want to be on your carrier kill mail after I lose my paladin, then I'll be. I'll be
Is
good.
it actually a loss? Is it actually a loss if it adds green to your kill board? I don't think so.
Exactly.
It evens out. That's funny, man.
You also killed my anus.
Oh
yeah. Is that 400?
400 million.
It's a 423 million Sentinel. So it's a Sentinel's the tier
It's the tier 2 electronic attack ship.
Tech
yeah.
2.
Yeah, Tech 2. But look, it's got
it's
3 blue newts.
C 3 A-type small energy newts with an A-type. Is that an A-type? Yeah, A-type micro orb drive.
Yeah. And then an A-type small armor repper.
Yeah.
And a Republic fleet disruptor.
Yeah, so it was pimped out. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I mean it dropped only 146.
Is that an abyssal damage control too, or is that a T2?
No, it's just a damage control.
Okay.
It's orange, it's not red.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's just a damage control too. But yeah, that was a little ridiculous. Looks like it looks like another kill whore, but at least it's not on one of your own guys.
No. Just throw a missile at it. There you go, boys.
throw it. Do it. Wait. What? Why does this Aideron have a rocket launcher? Someone help me.
That's interesting.
The kill males and what they think somebody is like flying and shooting. Like that Gipurian. Alright, let's take a look at the Armageddon here. That's a real kill right there, it looks like.
Yeah.
So
but it looks like
that's a fucking weird
party.
ship. So we've got what? 2 newts. Are those large or two heavy newts?
Two heavies.
And then rapid missile
heavies.
launcher. Okay, so that makes sense.
Drones too. Drone damage control. Some armor. Cat booster, of course.
Yep, web, scram, micro warp drive.
Nothing too pricey. It's all T2 or like T1.
Interesting. Dias is a guy that comes around and he usually flies with us a lot. I'm wondering why Elicon's on that one.
Yeah, top damage too at 19,000.
Yeah. In a Hyperion, no less.
Yeah,
throwing
like,
Hyperions.
Looks like he was working with dirt and glitter on this one. So
maybe.
Dirt and glitter, yeah. Covenant, what else we got?
Smart bombs.
Are those Maguses too? Or are those, they look like Magus. They're Magus fleet, dirt and glitter.
Yeah, they have Pontifex also.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was smart bombing here, unless his Megatron.
It's all.
That's a possibility.
Oh, let's check related.
If I recall correctly, they were trying out some smart bomb doctrines, but I'm not sure.
Ooh, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, so that looks like possibly smart bombs. So what was the check? Did the other person die? The person that got top damage on that?
On this one in particular, or Elicon? The battleship you're talking about, right?
The battleship?
Yeah, this one, yeah. So let's see what Elicon, did he live through that? I just wonder if he had smart bombs on that.
Like that was a few days ago.
Lots of good kills there.
Yeah, I don't see a Hyperion loss.
Oh, I suppose we could have just looked through losses, but yeah, my guess would be.
I don't think he lost that.
No, he didn't. He did not.
Something happened there that.
Yeah, that was interesting. Might have just taken damage, like you said, from a smart bomb.
Yeah.
I always love looking at this stuff and just trying to piece together what is going on here.
Yeah, like this one. This looks like another kill whore.
Absolutely.
Apathy is solid at
0.
Yeah, he knows
0
the deal,
damage. Yeah.
He knows the deal. He's in and out.
I'm all about it.
Quick. Like a phantom, he's in and out of there.
Solid.
Got like a 0. whatever% on a carrier. I know what's up.
Exactly.
And a succubus, no less, because these are always expensive.
Oh yeah.
This one's
Oh,
Not
yeah,
super
there's,
pricey, but it's
we
not
should
cheap.
be using also the br.evetools.org at some point too. That's a good tool for looking through.
Oh, speaking of something that I wanted to say earlier, a tool that I use is called Eve. I can't even scroll up high enough for it to. If I do this, does it just disappear? Oh. Well, Eve Gate Camp Check. That's a good one. It'll tell you.
That's a good tool.
It'll tell you basically, like, you input your route in here, and it will tell you if any of the gates have had kills on the gates recently, and how many.
Nice. I've never even known that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that one's really useful. I wanted to bring that up earlier when we were talking about tips and tricks or whatever, but yeah, you can use that and to hopefully avoid us while we're gate camping. But I prefer that you do not and just go through our gate camp.
Just bait us.
Let me know what gate
bait
you
us.
camp,
We
and
get
then I'll
baited a
follow
lot. Oh, I accidentally ended up on your kill board. It looks
there
like
you are. Murdering.
There we go.
Solid kills.
Yeah, I'm a little too snuggly for my
Hold
liking.
up.
What happened?
Squid Tark solo.
Shell Tark. Oh, nice.
Look at this.
Caught Shell Tark.
It's Squid Tark on this show.
Got him. Got him.
Got him. Got him.
Yeah, he was just sitting on
Homer.
the gate, man, and I just happened to kind of roll in, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna kill this guy. And,
Oh, well, yeah, you're in a fucking slicer. Yeah, you are.
Nice. Solid kill.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one to end on. That's beautiful.
Awesome, yeah.
I didn't see that when I was. Oh, I'm gonna add dunked to that. There you go, Shell Tark.
Got him. Hope he's watching.
Love you, Shell Tark. All right, so thank you so much, Kurgen, for coming on to the show today, and definitely hope to have you back on. I'm sure we'll have lots of news that'll be coming out of Aideron about what you guys are doing next, how the siege, I'm sure, of Fliet is going to go moving forward. And there's a lot for everybody to check out as we continue. We'll be trying to do it every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time, as long as I'm not in Gen Con making my way back. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for your questions. We highly encourage questions from our audience. We're totally open to answering pretty much anything, as long as you're not, throwing out really weird stuff, which I won't even get into. But
show feet.
Also, if you have any news you want to have on the show, definitely just hit us up. We do have the Federation Frontline Report at gmail.com now. Go ahead and hit us up there. We have this as our podcast as well, the Federation Frontline Report. We have that on Anchor. You can probably find it on Spotify and all the other Apple and all the other podcasting places. So if you just want the audio version because you travel in your car like I do a lot, I just listen to some podcasts while I'm driving around. You can check us out there. We'll be on YouTube. We'll have VODs on Twitch, of course, but we'll do it live. We like to have that interaction. If you want to tell us news while we are doing our show, just like when you're asking questions, pop into the show. Go ahead and drop some news on us, and we'll get that news out there. We will be opening up to talking about other news that happens out in 0.0 and stuff like that as well, but those will be small segments on our show. But the main thing that we're also looking for is people that want to come on, guests, anybody that wants to come on, talk about your experience. Faction warfare is our main focus, but we're totally open to have anybody on the show. We'll probably ask you some questions about faction warfare, and if you know nothing about it, that's even better, because then we can talk to you about it and tell you that you should get an alt in it anyways. But in any case, we're totally open to all people coming onto the show, having some fun, and just shooting the shit with us. So thank you all for watching, and if you're interested in joining up in the war effort, put in an application to Golden Age Stories, in-game. And alts are welcome, spies are welcome. We don't fucking care. Come on in, have some fun. Not a spy here, I swear.
Not a spy.
And if you have any news for us or want to be on the show, you can always send an email to Frozen Fallout in game. You can also email us at federationfrontlinereport@gmail.com. So thank you all for being here and listening, and have a great night.
Take care, everyone.
Good night, New Eden.